This is the UNspecial podcast. Today I'm joined with Nani Santana, also known as Mom of Awesome Siblings on Instagram. She is a wife, an autism mom, a speaker, an author, an advocate, the podcast host of the Uniquely Wired podcast, and the founder and leader of the She's Crowned Ministry. Take a deep breath. That was a lot. And she does it all. Welcome. Thank you for being here, Nani.
Yes, it is a pleasure to be on your podcast, Zach. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I came across your account, I don't know, a while ago, and I've been following, but then I recently came across your She's Crowned Ministry, which
Mm,
we'll get into a little bit later, but that I was super intrigued because that's a goal of mine and a dream of
wow,
mine to have a ministry for the dads, because the
I
dads,
love that. I
as
love
you
that.
probably know, are a little MIA at times. And
Yeah,
so not to call out dads, but just to call them up and to start showing up like
yeah,
we were called to. So yeah, we'll get into
absolutely.
that. Why don't let's just start at the beginning. What's your journey with autism and when did that start? And yeah.
Um, so our journey started in 2018. That's when my daughter, who's 9 right now,
Okay.
was diagnosed. Before that, I was actually a teacher assistant at a charter school here in Philadelphia where we live. And it was interesting because I always like to share this part of the story because I feel like that's when it all starts making sense to me. Being a teacher assistant, I didn't think anything about the autistic community, right? First of all, I was young, I was ignorant, I was naive. So in my head, I was just going into work. I didn't really feel the need to look up autism or, why does this kid have an IEP? What does IEP stand for? Like, I didn't know any of that. If I'm honest with you, I was just like, I love these kids. I love working with
Yeah.
them. Um, let's just do it.
Hmm.
Little did I know I was going to have a girl. And my mom was babysitting her for us, for my husband and I, while we both worked. So for that first year of my daughter's life, my mom was babysitting her because we refused to do daycare.
Hmm.
Um, and so from there, I remember my mom around to fast forward. I remember her telling me around, I want to say Eliana was already about 9 months, 10 months. She said, "Hey, have you noticed that she's like staring at the ceiling fan all the time?" And I was like, "Yeah, she's just doing that. I think she's just amazed by the ceiling fan." Like I didn't think any of it, to be honest with you. The last thing that I would think about was my child will be special needs or will have a
Hmm.
disability, however you want to word it, right? And I said, no, she's fine. So fast forward, her 12-month visit comes, and the doctor tells me, hey, mom, I'm not saying she's autistic or has any type of disability, but I am recommending that she starts um, early intervention because I'm noticing that she's not responding by her name. He was noticing signs that I didn't think any of it. Because again, we're talking about this as my first child. So I'm
Right.
a first time mom. I'm in my early 20s. I had just gotten married to my husband. You know, there were so many things going on that, again, the last thing I was thinking about was my child was going to be diagnosed with a disability.
Hmm.
So that entire time, I'm just like pretty much you could say in denial. But I remember going to my car. My husband had met me there from work to that appointment, and he was in his car. And I was in mine, and he texts me and he's like, well, I guess we got to, find her therapies or whatever the doctor suggested. And I was like, yeah, I'll get to that. Get to it, get her into early intervention. She starts that a little before she gets diagnosed with autism. So again, I'm not thinking any of it. I'm just like, okay, this should help her. Early intervention should get her to say words because my daughter never really, I can't say my daughter regressed in speech because the most she was doing was babbling. I never got to hear actual words coming out of my daughter's mouth.
Mm.
So I can't really say like other parents do say, and I hear that their kids regress after this and that.
Right.
That wasn't my case. That wasn't my story.
Yeah.
Um, my daughter never got to say a word. It was just a lot of babble. And again, I was just like every kid in the Latino culture, you know, you are just kind of like they grow at their own pace. And I'm sure a lot of people say this. They grow at their own pace. She's fine. Give her time. So that's what I had in my mind. I was like, I
Yeah.
can't compare her to other kids because this is my daughter. She's different. She's unique. And I remember the speech therapist that was seeing her, Miss Erin. I would never forget her. She said, "Hey, mom, have you thought about getting her evaluated for autism?" And I was like, "What? What do you mean?"
Mm-hmm.
So, to move on quickly for the sake of time, she told me that, and I went ahead and I mean, like a light turned on in my brain, and I said, "You know what? Let me do this. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right?" And I'm a very optimistic person. I'm very positive, as you can see on my platform. So I just went on with it. And I remember hearing that news, and it was like a bucket of iced water fell on me. And
Yeah.
I was like, what? At first, I couldn't understand. I didn't understand until I got in my car. And what does every parent do? Now it's
Google.
ChatGPT, but
Right.
I went straight to Google and I was like, what? This makes perfect sense.
Oh wow.
This is my daughter. Like, I started feeling so guilty. And I remember looking at my husband and just crying. My husband was holding it together because he's more of an introvert, he's more reserved. And I think a lot of men
Yeah.
are with their emotions. And I was so mad. I was so mad at God. I
Mm.
mean, I have been a Christian my whole life. I have been devoted to Christ my whole life, involved in ministry. I thought I was doing all the right things,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Um so I just remember that time of my life just being very dark, and I just felt guilty of everything. I mean, of it all. I was like, maybe I should have started this before.
Mm.
Maybe I should have picked up on these signs before. Maybe I should have done my duties as a mother and done my research earlier, right? But I do remember hearing the voice of God and just getting into my word and allowing Him to comfort me and being reminded that He's in control.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite verses in scripture is um, in Proverbs, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And
Right.
I had to really live that verse out. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't just read it, I had to live it out. And ever since, I mean, our journey began.
Yeah. Wow. This powerful. You bring up an interesting a couple things. We're gonna go way off course now. um, when you talk about therapies and coming from like a mindset of a mom, and then also the mindset of yourself helping a lot of moms.
Hmm.
What when you go into those therapies, especially, I know a lot of the listeners can relate to this, not knowing much about autism or not
Mm-hmm.
knowing much, like those early days are complete fog. You're trying to figure everything out. So then all
Mm-hmm.
these therapies are thrown at you. And when you go into them, are you fully expecting for them to shift everything?
No, but I also think for me, there were parts of me that were in doubt
Yeah.
because we're human.
Right, right.
So part of me was in doubt, but then there was that part of me that was optimistic that this is just for a few months. I
Yeah.
didn't think it was going to be longer than what it became.
Yeah.
But there was still that part of my brain that was telling me, there's a possibility that there might be news.
Right.
And I hate to say bad, but just not so good news. Um, so that's what I would say. And I think everyone might have a different response to that question. It is a good question though. I have not been asked that question. So
Yeah.
that is a really good one. But
Because I know
thinking back to that time, yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
when I was teaching middle school, I taught all the levels
Mm.
from kinder to adult transition. And
Wow.
middle school was by far the most difficult because it seemed like
Mm.
it was the age where reality hit, where parents were faced with, like, okay, this is the trajectory my child is going. And then there was a lot of pressure on me as the teacher to
Mm.
almost course correct. And it could have been the school I was at, it could have been the demographic of parents I was working with.
Right.
But that was that was like an eye-opening thing for me. It was like, man, and that's kind of when this podcast idea, and that was 6 years ago,
Wow.
all of my ideas started was with this the hardest year of teaching of my career. But
Wow.
I saw all these different psychologies of parents and emotions,
Yeah.
and that was, yeah, that's where that
Yeah,
question
I
comes
think for
from.
me right now, I can see that as my daughter gets closer to middle school, she is in fourth grade. So there's a lot of things that are like hitting me
Yeah.
because I'm like, oh man, like this is who she is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
there's still hope, but there's also reality. And I think those two can coexist. I'm learning
Yeah.
as we go and as we navigate this journey, and having two on the spectrum, it's hard. It's hard because they both have different needs, similar needs but also different. And he's a boy, she's a girl, so there's a lot of differences there already. um so and
Right.
then the age, he's younger. um so yeah, it's a lot to navigate.
100%. So then another brings up another interesting dynamic. Marriage and divorce rate is astronomical with special needs families, and I can only imagine. Like, it
Yeah,
makes perfect sense. I mean, the number one attack from the enemy is to break apart a family, and a
absolutely.
special needs family has a harder journey than most.
Yeah.
How have you kind of kept it, stayed married?
mm. So we've been married 11 years.
Wow.
I got married at 20.
Yeah. What?
So
That's even harder.
yeah, right out of high school. My husband was not playing.
So
We are
married at
also
20, and then
uh-huh.
2 years later had your kid.
Yeah, I would say so.
So you're a
'Cause I
young
think I got
mom,
yeah, I
young
was a young
married,
mom. Mhm.
and 4 years into it, get an autism diagnosis. You have everything going against you.
Yeah. Everything, every reason to just be like, "You know what? I'm done."
Out.
Like, goodbye.
Right.
Um well, this might sound cliche or whatever, but of course, God. I
Right.
mean, my faith
100%.
has kept me grounded. Um, Not to mention my husband and I were 9.5 years apart.
Okay.
I would say exactly 10. So he's older. Um, that was hard to navigate because just the age alone,
Yeah.
it's a difference. Whether it's 15 years, 5 years, like there's still a difference there. Then you add the gender roles.
Yep.
It's a lot. When you have different backgrounds, my husband is Spanish as well, but his parents are still married. I come from a divorce background.
Okay.
Um, my dad and my mom got divorced when I was around 7 years old. So I seen a lot of things, right? This doesn't mean my husband's parents are perfect because they had their things, right? But they knew how to navigate that and stay married. So for me, I felt like I went into marriage so afraid because one, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I'm right out of high school. I didn't even go to college. So
Hmm.
everything I know, it's self-taught.
Hmm.
And because God has given me the talent and the gift, and He has saw me fit to do what I do, but I don't have no degrees,
Right.
really. So, other than just my experience working with kids and all the things, but I think really to answer your question, what has kept us is definitely God, keeping Him at the center, making sure we're
Yeah.
praying as a family. Um, when you have a kid that gets diagnosed, there's just so much that goes to your through your mind, because one, you're wondering if you're going to make it in the marriage, right? Two, you want to make sure you're both on the same page. So I think we are learning now, I mean, I would say 10 years later, how to be intentional with making the time for us.
Hmm.
So now that the kids are a little bigger, we feel a little better saying, okay, can our parents or my parents watch them? Because those are the only two that we trust. We don't
Right.
leave our kids with anybody else. So sometimes my mom will call me and say, hey, I want to stay with the kids this weekend. Say no more. And we'll
Yeah.
probably be broke, but we're like, we're doing this.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, I know in June we went on vacation with the kids for the first time. Like, we went to South Carolina. We actually drove, which was about an 8 and almost 9 hour drive.
Uh-huh.
And that was our first like getaway, driving that far and staying for 4 days and
Wow.
3 nights. So that was a huge victory for us, and they did amazing.
Yeah.
So then recently in September, my mom was like, I want to stay with the kids. And Tony, my husband, he's like, we just went on vacation. And you could probably relate to this as a man. You know, you guys tend to think more about the money. And okay, and I'm over here like the memories.
Totally.
So
Totally.
I'm like, okay, well, but I was like, honey, this doesn't happen often. We don't have to stay anywhere fancy. I mean, I could care where we stay. We could stay in the car for all I care about. Like, I'm not a picky person. I'm like, whatever we could afford, right? So we did it. We ended up going to Maryland and visited DC and all the things. But yeah, I think just being intentional and making that time has really kept us grounded, and communication. And I know that we hear this a lot, that that's key in marriage, but I can really testify that it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say just this past weekend, I went out with my husband. My in-laws came and they stayed with the kids for the day, and we just went. We were going to go to the shooting range, but we
Nice.
ended up going shopping for the kids.
Of course.
Anyways, because it's starting to get cold over here. So we were like, let's just go, whatever, priorities. But then we went to eat, and my husband opens up to me in the car.
Oh,
And it just broke me down because he is a man of a few words.
yeah.
He does not speak much. So for him to open up, and as a man, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I want. I want him to be able to feel like I'm his safe space
Mm.
and he can talk to me about these things. So he said, man, I had a moment as he's driving, I had a moment in the kids section in the toy section at Walmart. And he was trying to find my son like the ramp for the cars, because we saw him at church playing with one. So we were like, oh my God, we got to get him one. I mean, we get so excited. We're like,
Yeah.
we got to go shopping for it. And he starts crying. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And he's like, I saw the walkie talkie, the Spider Man walkie talkie. And, it just took me back. Like, man, I want to buy this for Jacob, but I know that he can't really talk to me through
Oh
it.
man.
And that absolutely broke me, because all I could do in that moment was say, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We're hopeful, we trust in God that that moment you're going to be able to have with your son. And I said, I get those moments a lot. Trust me, all the time. But I cannot sit and dwell in those moments because I won't be able to do anything. So that was so deep. That was
Wow.
so deep. Just that little conversation there, just like, whoa. Because I know that he feels. I mean, I know that my husband has the emotions and he feels them, but he doesn't express them. So for him to
Yeah.
express that moment, I knew that it was a gut wrench punch feeling. Like, it really touched him. So that was deep.
Yeah, that's heavy. No, that's
So just
super.
showing your spouse that you're there and that, their feelings matter and that they're seen and that they're heard, that's a lot in a marriage. And you know what? I will say this too. Getting counseling if you need it
Hmm.
from the right people.
Right, right.
Always look at the reviews, always, do a little consultation before, because, and I'm not going to say go with somebody that's Christian or whatever you believe. Just go with someone that stands in your belief and your values, because that goes a long way. And so
Hmm.
for us, we've had to do it. And sometimes we're like, listen, if we have to do it every year, we'll do it every year. Get that tune up, and there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like society makes it seem like, oh my gosh, you're in trouble if you're getting
Right.
counseling, like
Like,
your
what's
marriage
wrong
is going
with
to end.
you?
Yeah, it's so much that I'm like, no, I'm not afraid to say that. Listen, we've taken counseling.
Well, it's
we
like you
we've
have
done it.
a coach in everything else in life. Like you have a coach
Yeah.
for your baseball team.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
a business coach. You have
Yep.
teachers and
Mhm.
pastors. Like the most important relationship in the family, it's looked down on to have a little bit of extra help with. That's extremely difficult.
Yep.
Like I
Mhm.
don't know, but that's
It's
power.
backwards.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
powerful realization. I think
I'm
that
like, I don't
most.
even know if I answer your question.
No, 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 you did. But
Okay.
just the testament of your husband, like that's a powerful realization for everybody to understand that there's so many little things throughout the day that parents feel and see that if you don't have a kid with special needs, you don't understand it. Like the simple thing of looking and wanting to buy a walkie-talkie, like majority of people will walk right past that and be like, "Oh, cool! I'm gonna go play with my son and talk on a walkie-talkie."
Right.
But somebody walking in your shoes sees that, and it's a whole different mindset. And
Mhm.
then your mind can go anywhere with that. That's heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, because my son, he also has not just a speech delay, but he also has apraxia,
Yeah,
which, you know, his brain knows what it wants to say,
even
but he
harder.
can't get it out. So, and he's sick. So that's why I was giving my husband hope. I said, hun, I know that it's hard because I mean, I won those moments with my daughter and she has language, but she can't hold the conversation. So, they get in the car and I still, every day when I pick them up from school, I'm like, how was your day? Did you have a good day? Was it a bad day? Sometimes she
Right.
says bad. And I mean, I don't know if she means it, but she could be. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Even if they're not talking back to me, I'm still acknowledging that they are human and they can
Yeah.
still hear me,
Right.
because I know and I have hope that one day those words will come out,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's verbally or with their device, however God pleases to do it. I will be okay. Like I told God, I will be okay. If this is the way you want them to communicate, I will be okay. I just want them to be able to communicate and say how they feel and say what they want or need. So that's my biggest thing. That's our most difficult thing, especially the older they get and we see how much they struggle with communication. I think that's for us the hardest part right now.
Yeah. Brings up an interesting question
Mhm.
because you're a woman of faith. I've been kind of figuring out how to phrase this. What are your thoughts on healing
Mm.
when like I want to be careful with I know
Mhm.
there's a lot of controversy on like, oh, should autism be cured or healed,
Right, right.
whatever you say, but like,
Mhm.
oh, let's just specifically like your children's speech, like, can God heal it? Will he? Does he? I mean, you look throughout the New Testament,
Mhm.
he heals quite a few people.
Right. Right.
And I mean, God can do anything. I think we both
Right.
agree with that.
Mhm.
It's just
Absolutely.
whether if he does or not.
And that's the thing, right? And I can't even answer that because I mean, I don't know what he wants, right? I don't
Right.
know what he's going to do. Can he do it? Yes. Will he do it? I don't know. For us, I personally don't pray for autism to be healed. That's
Mm-hmm.
just us. I mean, we've come so far in this journey that I remember being in that denial phase in the beginning, right? And coming from a Pentecostal church where
Oh yeah, healing all day
everything had to
long.
be healed, everything had to be rebuked.
Yeah.
For so long in the beginning of the journey with my daughter, I remember, being in my small Spanish church, like, oh no, we need to pray this away. We need to heal. She was not meant to be this way. Da 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 da. Which on top of that comes the guilt. I mean, you're not making me feel too much better. But there's guilt that continues to pile up. And so for so long, I was just like, God, this needs to go away. This needs to go. Did God do it? No.
Right.
Did that mean that I didn't have faith? No. Um, and that's another thing I had to to learn, that this does not mean that you have little faith.
Uh-huh.
Because let me tell you, I have seen God work in my life in so many ways. And I mean, I have testimonies to share forever of God's goodness and faithfulness. So I know that He's with me. I know that He's writing this story. It doesn't make sense, but I was just telling the moms, I want to be like Noah in this season. I want to obey God. I don't
Yeah.
just want to hear His voice, I want to listen. I want to absorb what He's telling me to do. And so for so long, I had that mentality that I think people think that they see me now and they're like, oh, Nani's this positive and happy person and she accepts her children. It's not that. It's just, I was not that person before. And I
Yeah.
know what it feels to be that person. I don't
Gotcha.
want to go back to that mentality. I want to
Yeah.
embrace my kids the way they are. They are fearfully and wonderfully made.
Mm-hmm.
Autism doesn't control their life, even though it might look like it, but I don't speak that into them, right? So to
Mm-hmm.
me, I do pray for healing for their speech. I
Yeah.
do pray for God to loosen their tongue and to be able to say something. Like I said, to be able to communicate. But I also say, let your will be done, not mine's. I don't want my will to be done. I want God's will to be done in my children's life. What that will is, I don't know, but I know it's good and it's a perfect will. That's
Right.
one thing I do know. So I can't look into the future. I can only hope.
Yeah. I
And
think
I
you
think God blesses our obedience.
yeah, you hit it on the head. Not my will, but your will be done. I mean, Jesus
Yeah,
prayed that prayer before he went to the cross.
exactly.
And so, and I
Exactly.
know, the spectrum's wide,
Mhm. Mhm.
and a parent on the profound side
Right.
probably has a different answer, but still at the end of the day,
Yeah.
not my will, but your will be done.
But that is so true. You just touched on something that I tell my husband. With this whole thing with the Tylenol, when the president put it out there and all the things, I told my husband, I said, listen, I see both sides.
Yeah.
I feel for both sides because I
Right.
told him, I said, guess what? I have a feeling that if I would have been in the shoes of some of the moms that I follow, that their kids are aggressive, that they're constantly banging their heads, hitting themselves, I will too want this to go away.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we have to have sympathy for both.
Totally.
I- That's it. I mean, are there parts of autism that I wish my children didn't have? Absolutely. I mean,
Right.
I don't think nobody wants their kids to suffer.
It's just like there's parts of my kids I wish they didn't have.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are parts of my life that I have ADHD. I was diagnosed last year.
Okay.
So, I mean, everything started making sense after my diagnosis
Yeah.
because I was like, well, this makes sense. No wonder I always struggled academically. I didn't understand this. I was being passed by the grade because they felt bad for me. Like it's so much. But at the end of the day, God does not promise us that it's going to be a perfect world.
Right.
What He promises us is that He will be with us every
Hmm.
step of the way. And just to encourage the listeners, you are going to feel like, where am I finding this strength for? How am I continuing to do this? How am I loving my child? That is God.
Yeah.
Only God can give you that. Only God can do that. And so
100%.
that's just how I look at life, Zach. And to be honest with you, it's just what has helped me in this journey be the mom and the woman that I am, and that I continue to become, really, because I still feel like God is still peeling layers of me.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm just going with it.
So would you say, were you like this before kids?
Like what?
Like with the perspective of life happens for you and not to you?
Um,
Or
I
has having kids and going through this journey refined you into who you are now? I mean,
I
it
will
has
say
to.
that for sure. I have come a long way in my
Yeah.
personality and who I am, but I have always been a joyful person.
Yeah.
I have always been an encourager. I used to teach the teen girls at my old church. We had like a girls' ministry. So I was the teacher for them. And I was going by the word, instructing them by the word and what the word of God says, right?
Mm,
And now I look at them and I'm like, wow, like if I wouldn't have done what God called me to do in their life in that season of my life, who knows where they would have been, right? A lot of them are
right.
married with kids. And now seeing them evolve, I'm like, wow, this is beautiful to see, right? When you do exactly what God calls you to do. So I will say I've always been um an encourager and positive. But when I started this journey, that shifted. So I started going down and I wasn't as happy. I was more angry. There
Yeah.
were other sides of me that began to come out. My husband and I will argue for silly things. I mean, silly things.
Yeah.
It's not even like an actual argument. We're just mad at each other. I
Right.
was restless. My daughter struggled with sleep for a long time. For the first 5.5 years of her life, she struggled with sleep. I'm talking about going to bed at 8, being up at 12 or 1 in the morning till 7 in the morning.
Oh
I mean,
man.
we have rough nights.
Yeah.
We have rough nights. And so I always felt like every time I was ready to go to sleep, she was getting up.
Yeah.
So it was tough. It was tough.
Oh, that takes a toll.
It does. It does. It takes a toll on your character. It takes a toll on who you want to be around. I didn't want to do anything. Um, I will say I was somewhat depressed. I I can't say I went deeply into depression, but yes, there was some part of depression in me and
Yeah.
anxiety. And I mean, the older they get, you already know how that is. I mean, you start feeling those anxious feelings for many reasons.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I would say I was not the confident woman I am now,
Okay.
then. But
Yeah.
I have always been, anybody could tell you that knows me, I've always been a happy person, trying to find the good in everything
Yeah.
and in everyone. So,
I mean,
yeah.
I think that's probably propelled you to do everything you're doing now.
Yeah.
And
I like to
and
say that
faith.
was like a preparation,
Yeah.
preparation season in my life. And now, we're here.
Now it's go time. What's the like one of the biggest misconceptions you face about being an autism mom?
Right now, I can't I
I mean,
can't
the
think of
walkie-talkie
any,
one
but
opened my eyes to a little bit of the
yeah.
mindset of just an everyday life.
Yeah, that was a big one. But I think when my daughter was first diagnosed and then my son was diagnosed in 2021. So it was a different mindset then. But I think one of the biggest misconceptions I've heard is like they don't feel.
Mm,
There's no feelings for autistic individuals. And that couldn't be further from the truth
right.
because just because they don't express it the way we do doesn't mean they don't have those feelings,
Yeah.
doesn't mean they don't have those emotions. And so I see it even now with my daughter. She gets frustrated. And if my family's around and she's getting frustrated, I'm like, hey, she's upset. She's showing it in a different way, but she's upset. She wants her space right now.
Yeah.
Um, there was another, I think it was the like something I hear too is, they don't want friends. They don't
Yeah.
want friends. And I think now, the older my daughter's getting, I'm noticing how, she doesn't understand personal space. So just yesterday at her equine therapy,
Oh, nice.
she met her new friend Anthony, and he's 15. So they're a couple years apart. But he's saying hi and he's nonverbal. Um, and she like goes all up on his chest. And I'm like, Aliana, personal space. But she's like smiling. There was some type of connection there. I
Yeah.
don't know what it was, but I think she knew that he was different like her. And so
Right.
I do think they want friendships. I do think autistic individuals long for relationships. They may not know how to show that or how to express that, but they have those feelings just like you and I. I mean, they're
Right.
human.
Totally.
They're human, they have these feelings. So yeah, those are some of the things. I mean, there's so many of them, but those are some of the things that I would say are very common about the
Yeah.
feelings and them not wanting friends.
And I think once you hang out with them, you start to realize like they're really not that different.
Mm-hmm.
I have dreams to write a book on this someday. Like all the
Yes.
similarities of just how they're not that different, such as they feel, they want friends,
Yeah.
they thrive on structure and routine.
Yes.
And it's just like
Yes.
this is how we all operate. And I
Mm-hmm.
I remember my first year teaching, it became very apparent to me that they feel deeply. I had this
Mm-hmm.
one student, he was you know, he had all the emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was a happy dude, and then when he was angry, he was angry. Like he was the most violent kid in the district. And he would break, he would claw, he would scratch you, he would punch you, he would destroy the classroom. I had to set up a whole like zone defense with my staff on how to
Wow.
manage one of his big behaviors. And after every massive behavior, he would cry. And I remember
Oh.
the first time I was like, "Oh my goodness."
Yeah.
He just had this extreme emotion, and he feels really bad because and that's when I like started to learn about apraxia. Like he can't control his body. He just none of this is. I had to sit my staff down. Like none of this is intentional. He
Mm.
cannot control his body, so we just have to do our best to make sure everyone stays safe. And it kind of
Wow.
just has to run its course. And then he would come up to us and he would say sorry. He had like 5 words. One of them was sorry. And
Oh
I
my
was like,
god.
this guy, he was awesome.
Oh my god. He's like, I just raised hell, but
Yeah.
I know y'all forgive me.
And I'm like, bro, can you give us a couple minutes? We're trying to just relax.
Right, right. Oh my god, that's so funny. But
Yeah.
but you see, and thank God for people like you, right? Instructors like you. And I'm always so thankful. I mean, for the teachers that my kids have. They are truly a blessing, and they just see the potential in our kids. And we need teachers like that.
Oh
We
yeah.
really do, because I feel like it does make a difference in the parent and teacher relationship.
Oh yeah.
When you look beyond their behavior and you're like, this is still a person.
Yep.
Like, they are feeling all the feels. And trust me, if I couldn't control myself and something would have happened, I probably would have been flipping tables like Jesus.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Oh yeah.
But they can't control that. They can't
Mm-hmm.
control that. So I think it falls on us, right? The adults that have it all together, um, to be able to teach them
Yeah.
how to navigate through those behaviors. Like, hey, I know you're frustrated. Let's squeeze this ball instead. Maybe take him on a walk or take her on a walk. There's so many things. I used to work for an ABA agency. So, and my kids have done ABA before. So I'm a big ABA supporter, I mean,
Yeah.
because I've seen how it's worked for my kids.
Totally.
Um, and being in the agency and working with the kids, like you just see beyond just focusing on your own kids, because now you're seeing other kids that might have different needs than your children. And so there's always different strategies that you can use that can help them.
Right.
um Maybe not get to that, elevating to that point. And not that you guys weren't paying attention to that, but I'm just speaking in general. Like, I
Oh,
think there are
totally.
ways that things that we can do, especially with times changing and all the new strategies and things like that. Sometimes I'm like, man, I wish this was around and I knew about the strategy when I was a teacher assistant and this one kid was flipping chairs and
Yeah.
almost hitting kids. But
Right.
again, I didn't know then.
Right.
I always say when you know, you do better.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Sometimes
it.
you gotta walk through the fire. I had
Yep.
an interesting observation that we don't have to get into, but I just
Hmm.
thought of it. When I had a good relationship with my students' parents, the student, like, they know, they can feel it, and they observe the same thing. But when I had, I mean, I had a good relationship with most of my students' parents, but my middle school year, there was a handful of those parents who weren't in good standing with the administration. And
Mm.
so they would feed off of it and just feel the stress and then have more
Yep.
behaviors.
Hmm. I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I've seen those. I've seen the parents coming in rage.
Right. And then the
And then you're like,
student
well,
rages. You're like, this makes
right.
sense. So what are your kids up to now? They're in school.
Yes,
What's their
they are in
setup?
school. They're doing awesome. They are actually in charter school.
Okay.
So here in PA, I was not too lucky with the public school with my daughter.
Uh,
So, she did public school, which is technically our neighborhood school.
uh-huh.
She did it from kindergarten to second grade. Never went on a field trip. Never took inclusion class. She was always self-contained in an autistic support classroom. Um, she did do preschool before this, but once you get into the school system, is a different story
Right.
from preschool. Just
Yep.
want to put that out there. Don't let it catch you by surprise. So, anyways, it was definitely a different process. So I ended up getting an attorney. Thankfully, we had won the case because all they wanted to give her was 30 minutes a month of speech. So I was like, that's unacceptable, not happening.
Hmm.
Um, they couldn't agree with me. So again, won that. So I ended up, just praying and asking God to open the door for us for her to go into a charter school. And so I heard about 4 charter schools here in Philly that are good with special education. And so out of those 4, only one of them contacted us. And I actually heard that out of all the 4, that's actually the best one.
Okay.
um, and they were not lying. Like, God really put us in
Nice.
favor with that. And I was so thankful. So last year for third grade, she started, and I'm telling you, Zach, the best IEP meeting I had attended.
Wow.
I mean, everybody was just for my daughter, with my
No
daughter,
way.
and it was
There's hope,
awesome.
everyone. There's hope.
There is hope. Okay, there is hope. And I'm telling you, and I know every kid has different needs, of course, but with my daughter specifically, I was thankful that they met every need. And it was awesome. I honestly never felt so good after an IEP meeting. I mean, they included things that I didn't even think about. So, for example, they take my daughter once a week to either the supermarket or Target. Um, and she cooks once a week at the school. So when they do go to the market, is to get whatever they need to cook, whether they're going to bake or cook something. So they have their own kitchen in the school. This is aside
Nice.
from the cafeteria.
Yeah.
Um, they have a sensory room. She gets her breaks. She takes inclusion class. She's still in autistic support room and getting all her therapies and stuff, but she also gets inclusion, I think science. So she was getting inclusion science twice a week, but now one of those science classes she's taking AAC class. So they are
Oh,
pushing her to continue to communicate with her AAC, which
oh,
is
cool.
something the public school was not doing. Okay,
Right.
they didn't care about it. They would let it collect dust in the classroom. And actually I knew about that because I found out through a mom that was working in the school. So listen, God's got us, okay? He
Right, right.
he will put your people, he will use other people to tell you what's going on, okay?
Hmm.
And whether they're saved or not. He'll do it, okay? He will do it to look out for you and yours. And so I was thankful for those connections. And now, she's thriving. She's doing that this year for fourth grade. She has a new teacher. Love the new teacher. I mean, she's pushing her for independence. Last year, she did have a one on one through the school, but this year they felt like she can definitely be independent. Um, and I trusted them because, again, I feel like they do have their best interest for my daughter. And I know
Yeah.
some parents will feel, no, well, they need a one on one, they can't do this. I noticed she was being too dependent on the one on one. So even the teacher noticed that in the beginning of the school year. She said, I could tell she was dependent on her one on one because she kind of waited for us to do hand over hand.
Uh-huh.
And it took about the first 2 weeks for her to get used to, like, no, you need to do this on your own. And I love it. I love to hear how she's thriving. And the reason I say it's working, Zach, is because I'm seeing the fruits. She comes home, listen, she asked me for a sandwich, and I'm like, girl, you need to give me a second. We just walked through the door. Okay? Give me a second. I
Yeah.
am not a robot. Um, and she starts grabbing the bread. Like, I got no time for you, mom. I am grabbing the bread, I am grabbing the peanut butter and the jelly, and I'm gonna start making this. I'm proud of her.
Yeah.
I am proud of her. So I love this. My son, same thing. He started this year there, kindergarten. He is doing fantastic. He adjusted really quickly to the routine. They both love school. They really both love school. So all I could say is that we're really blessed. We are blessed, and God is really looking out. And
Yeah.
that's what I would say, when you put your trust in God, when you really allow him to guide you in this journey, um you see it. You
Right.
see his hand working and opening doors that need to be open and closing the ones that need to be closed, and that's literally my prayer.
Yeah. That's incredible.
So yeah,
You.
they're doing wonderful. She is, I will say, we've tried gymnastics, didn't work. We tried dance. She did it for a few weeks, but it started becoming too structure for her. Didn't work. She was getting frustrated. And to be honest with you, it was hard for me as a mom to see the other girls doing things so good and my daughter was struggling. I hated to see that. Um Pulled her out, did cooking for a couple months. Might go back to that, but took a break cuz now she's doing equine therapy.
Cool.
And she's loving the horse. I mean, yesterday I said, "Hey, we're gonna go see the horse." She said, "I want horse." On her device. I said, "We still got an hour, but we're gonna get there." So she seems very intrigued. And yesterday during the therapy, she's like looking into the horse nose. Like, girl, what are you doing? I mean, she was like, "Nay." She wants the horse to say nay.
uh,
She doesn't understand that it's a real horse. It's not the TV, but it's so good that she's making that comparison. Like, it reminds me, and it's just those glimpses of joy, right? That you can see. Hey,
yeah.
she may not understand that he's not going to say that right now, but she knows that this is a horse and this is the sound that it's supposed to be
Yep.
making. So just those things like that, I feel like God allows us to, I call them God winks.
Yeah.
He allows
Yeah.
us to see, like, hey, life is not perfect and your children have their struggled, but there's still things that they're able to do.
Yeah. Stack those small wins.
Yes. And I think if we could focus on that, life will be so much better for everyone. Really, for
Hmm.
everyone.
Yeah. And you said something massive about IEPs.
Mm,
You said when you leave those meetings, and every list, everyone needs to hear this. When you leave those meetings, you felt good.
hmm.
You feel good about the plan for your child. Because on the contrary, most parents leave those meetings defeated, depressed, sad, crying, all the feels, except for feeling good, encouraged, positive, hope. And that's what the IEP meeting should be. So that is
Yeah.
incredible that you're experiencing that.
Yes. And like I said, and you just mentioned that, they leave depressed, they leave sad. That was me.
Yeah.
Okay. That was me from kindergarten to second grade with my daughter. But
Hmm.
I refused to stay settled.
Yeah.
I said, I am not going to settle for this. My daughter deserves better education. My daughter deserves to be included with every other kid, okay? Whether on the spectrum or not. And now she's able to be with kids that are not just autistic, but also have Down syndrome, ADHD. she's with typical children. And I love that when she's walking out, the kids are getting on the bus and they're like, bye, Eliana, bye, Ellie. They're saying bye to her because they also do like buddy day. So
Nice,
one day
nice.
of the week they get the older kids, so they're teaching them as well. I'm telling you, listen, in the beginning, all I heard was negative things about charter schools. Like, be careful because charter schools could be deceiving. And I'm like, okay,
Right.
look, I know what God is doing and I'm just going to be obedient, okay?
Uh-huh.
And I know his favors upon my life, right? Not that I'm his favor or anything, but you know what I mean? Like, I just know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so I knew that that was an answered prayer because when I tell you, Zach, this was fall of 2023 that I applied, and March or April of 2024, I get the email that there's a spot for her for third grade, which is rare. I knew it was a God thing. I knew it was a God thing.
Right, right.
So yeah, it's definitely good. So we're getting ready to have her meeting actually, I believe next week,
Okay.
for her IEP. So I'm excited to see, what's in plan now. There's some things that I do want to, I guess, upgrade. Um, and that's okay. I just love that they work with you and they hear you out. Like, hey, this is your
Yeah.
child. What do you
As they
need from
should.
us?
Like you're the most important person on the team.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
I've been working on an IEP course. It's going to come out probably the first in January sometime. It's
Nice.
10 modules, 10 different
Okay.
sections of the IEP. But the
Mm,
overwhelming message behind the whole thing is you are the parent, you are the expert, you are in charge, and just like you said, I'm probably gonna make some edits to it to include what you just said. Like you should leave these meetings encouraged and
yeah,
inspired and like
you
hopeful
should.
for the path forward,
Mhm.
not
And you
crying.
know what? This doesn't mean that there's going to be things that might discourage you, right?
Right,
There are
right.
things in my children's IEP. And I think for me, it's harder with my daughter because she's older. With
Yeah.
my son, I'm like, okay, he's still kindergarten. I'm sure we'll get there, right? So I'm trying to give myself grace. But with my daughter who's older, I think once you read through the IEP, reality sets in as well.
Hmm.
And you're like, well, there are things that she still struggle with. And so I do want to say, yes, you are your child's voice. Yes, you are the most important thing in that person in that IEP meeting. However, you should still be open to suggestion.
Yeah.
I don't think we should be so closed in and say, no, well, it's my opinion that matters and that's it. I think I've learned to put myself aside as well and take the intake from professionals because I've also been on that side. I've worked with teachers, and I can see that they want the best for your kids. They really do. Um, but yeah, I think that will be my biggest advice. That yes, share your opinion. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. They want you to share what you want for your child
Hmm.
and what you hope for. But at the same time, please be open to suggestion and you can either reject it or receive it.
Right.
That's it. Like you have a choice. You can
Yep.
receive it or you can reject it and that's on you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You don't like it, don't sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
All right, let's get into everything you got going on. So, the Uniquely Wired podcast, you got your She's Crowned ministry, and you have an online journal. What started first? Podcast?
The podcast. Yep.
Okay.
The podcast.
What's the heart behind the podcast and how's that going?
So the podcast I've been with for 2 years now, and we're currently on season 5.
Nice.
We have so what I talk about is autism. I have guests, I've had therapists, educators come on the podcast. Um, really just to bring education, awareness, understanding all the things that comes with autism. I share my experience as a mother, and also I integrate my faith
Yeah.
because it is a big component in my life. So I do a lot of encouragement as well through the podcast. I talk about my ADHD and how it's difficult.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning my ADHD and understanding myself and giving myself grace and that, I'm not a mistake. Because the same way I hear parents and how they feel about their kids and their diagnosis. I'm like, man, I feel that way about my own diagnosis, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's pretty much that. This might be the last season of the podcast.
Oh
I'm not
no.
100% sure just yet, but
Uh-huh.
there are plenty of episodes that you can listen to on all digital platforms and on YouTube. Um I think I just feel God pushing me a different direction.
Yeah.
But um hey, who knows? I might take a break for a year and then just come back.
Yep.
Whatever God wants at this point. I'm very like I just like to follow the lead
Yeah.
of God and what he wants me to do, but um I think it's a different season right now for me. But yeah, there's definitely episodes on there you can listen to, um
Do you
and
think
some good ones coming up.
he's leading more into more time into your ministry?
The
Yeah.
ministry.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
How did that start? So I'm super intrigued on this.
Yeah.
Because I don't really know where to begin for doing it for mine. And you have an online journal. I have a devotional coming out soon. Like
Yes.
where did it start?
So the ministry, I will say, Zach, I've always had a passion for community,
Yeah.
right? I've always had a passion, like I told you earlier, to encourage people, uplift people, to feel alone in this journey. Um, a few years ago, my kids, no, my daughter was already diagnosed. I will go live on my personal platform, Mom of Awesome Siblings. So
Uh-huh.
before it became a whole, all about the kids and resources, I used to post videos doing worship, because I am a worshiper. So I
Okay.
will post videos of me just worshiping God, praying, and I have people from everywhere just come in and have that time. It's almost like a little church online. And then I had like a Bible study group with moms, not with moms, sorry, with women, special needs or not, just overall, general. And then, years went by. I took a pause from that. Years went by. And I was like, you know what? I really feel this tug in my heart to start something for special needs moms specifically. Just have that safe
Yeah.
space for them. I didn't know how to go about it, to be honest with you. And God already knew that desire in my heart, just like He knows your desire in your heart to do this for fathers. And I already told you about this. Go for it. Take that leap
Mm-hmm.
of faith. You're never going to know how it's going to go until you try it. And so that's what I kept thinking and I had in my mind. And God confirmed it. I had two people prophesy to me
Oh.
that did not know anything about it because this was something that I kept to myself. It was just once a thought and a dream.
Yeah.
And God saw it and confirmed it. And I remember God telling me, why do you keep asking me if this is what I'm calling you to do? Through someone else, He used someone else, right? And I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to provide the finances. I'm going to open the doors. I'm going to bring that help. And I said, oh my gosh. And that's literally how it was, Zach. There's no like magic tool that I used.
Just
I
gotta
just did
go.
it. I
Yeah.
just did it. God gave me the name. She's crowned, right?
That's
Because the
great.
crown signifies God crowning you for this calling.
Yeah.
God crowning you. God is crowning you for such a time as this, just like He crowned Esther, right? And
Yeah.
so that's my vision behind it. And really the goal is just for moms to come together and we meet once a month right now. It used to be every Friday, but I slowed down because I don't want to overwhelm myself. So
Yeah.
one Friday a month, we go on Zoom, we connect. I have a total of 130 moms on the email list
Oh my
from
gosh.
all over the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I have one mom in South Africa.
Whew.
I have one mom that she can't connect, of course, because of the time difference.
Yeah.
So we meet at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So that's different for a lot of them. They're either ahead or behind. And then I have one mom in Ireland. And so it's a blessing, when I get the emails back, like, Nani, please keep doing this. This is so needed. So they're like, I'm not as active, but know that I see the emails, I see the
Oh
chat. I
wow.
do have
Yeah.
a chat on Telegram with them.
Okay.
And there's about 30 something of them on the chat. But on a Good Friday, I get up to like about 20 moms to connect on the Zoom. And all you see is tears.
That's
Some of them, they're
amazing.
like, I have my camera off because I just can't control myself,
Wow.
and it's not just Bible study because I don't go deep into the Bible study because I want to push them to do that for themselves. But
Mm-hmm.
I do give a word of encouragement. So every month, what I do is, which you can take this idea if you want, I do different theme. So this month we're focusing on renewing our minds daily. And what does the word say? What
Mm-hmm.
does God say about renewing our minds? Because there's a couple verses, right? Not just the Romans one that I feel that everybody quotes, but there's a couple of them. And so that has been good because it keeps
Yeah.
me grounded and I feel like I have something to focus on. It's just the way my brain works, to be honest. But that's an idea that you can take. But like I said, anything you want, listen, I'm here. I'm here to help you, whatever
Yeah.
it is. Any ideas, suggestions, I'm down. Because I'm gonna send my husband your way. That's
Nice.
that's all I'm saying. Because men do need it. A lot of the moms, they've
Oh
asked
yeah.
me, "Do you know of something like this for fathers?" And I'm like, I don't. But now we got somebody coming up.
Well, you're speaking straight to me because
Amen. Amen.
I've been like, oh, I want to do this. I know God wants me
Go
to.
for it. Go for it.
And then it
Listen, give
reminds me,
yourself the grace. I just went on and I started the Instagram. And then there I post all things ministry. And this year I did the first virtual retreat with the moms. And I had two guest speakers. One of them was the woman that God used to speak to me and confirm this. So the retreat is only a year old. In August, it made a year. Um, and she's actually a therapist and a Christian. So she integrates both the Bible and therapy. And I love that. So she spoke about mental health. Um, and then the other girl, she preached. She's also part of the ministry. So I had about 22 moms that joined that retreat, right? That register and join. I sent them each, I mailed them a box, a queen box, I called it. And it had anointing oil, it
wow,
had a journal and a notebook. So things like that. This year, 2026, March of 2026, we are doing it in person in Maryland at an Airbnb. We're fully booked, 22 of us in total.
no
We
way.
had to get a bigger Airbnb for space. And
Wow.
what God has put in my heart to do that weekend is amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
I can't say because if one of
W-
them listen, I'm going to spoil it. But
When is it?
it's a retreat in March
March.
2026.
March. Okay.
March 2026. When I tell you, Zach, that all I did was send an email before I made it public, moms right away. Sign me up. Sign me up. I'm sending my deposit right away. Um, I didn't even get a chance to promote it on the ministry page to see if other moms outside of the circle wanted to join. Nope. They said, we're not playing. We want to be in here. So I love it. So the theme of that retreat is the crown still fits.
wow.
So much goes into that God
Yeah.
has put in my heart. So we'll have workshop, we'll have devotional, we'll have a moment of rest. I want them to have at least an hour or two right after lunch to just rest their bodies if they want to, if they want to go for a walk, however they want to do that. But I also did not want to stop moms that have children from coming. So I do have two moms that are single that are going to be traveling with their child. So I'm just excited. I don't know what else God has, but
Yeah.
like I said, you could tell is a lot. So I need to make
Totally.
sure I'm focusing on that. And I also want to see if I open time throughout the week for moms that want to chat and just want to have a talk.
Yeah.
Because that's needed. That's needed.
100%.
So that's pretty much that with the ministry. I would just say go for it.
Well, you're living testament to God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. And so you're
Hello.
called, we're called, everyone's called in whatever they're
Yeah.
called in.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like you just take the step and God's going to
Yeah.
figure it out.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's awesome. I already,
Yes.
I got some ideas brewing already.
Yay.
uh,
That's the goal.
yeah. And then
Yes.
your online journal. What's that? I peeked at it.
Hmm.
what's the scoop on that?
So it's a digital journal. I
Hmm.
released it in September. So it's not a
Oh,
typical
recent.
journal. Yeah, it's not a
Okay.
typical journal. It is a journal specifically for special needs moms. Um it's faith grounded. So there are prompts on there. There's a space there for the moms to write prayers for their child. There's a space on there for wins,
Yeah.
celebrating those wins, the breakthrough moment, what's a breakthrough that happened in your child's life. So it's really just a safe space for moms. Um, I really personally believe the writing, it's actually healing. I personally love writing and taking notes. So I think it really helps, especially moms that can't really open up verbally or are afraid to do so. They have that safe space to do so. So I would say very soon, I don't have an exact date, but very soon we will have the physical copies available for pre-order. So I would say before Christmas for sure. I actually have my scheduled photo shoot this weekend for the physical journal because I did receive the copy. So I'm excited. I am very excited about that and see how God takes that and whatever He wants to do with that. And, I'm like, I don't want to think like I want to make money from this. My thought is I just wanted to get it to the hands of the ones that need it.
Well, and it's just back to the mindset of when you live your call and you fulfill your calling, God's going to make a way.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
needs are going to be taken care of, whether it's
Hmm.
with whether it blesses it with finances or different avenues or whatever it
Yep.
is. It's He's there
Hmm.
and He blesses it. But it's interesting your journal. So my journal, which I'm gonna ask you
Sure.
if you would read it for me and
Okay.
write a review. I'll put it in the book. Even if
Sure.
we just met, but you know what? Let's just go for it.
Yes,
But every
absolutely.
every 7 or 8 days, I have in here a Selah day. It's like take a break. You just went through 7 days of
Yes.
Devos. Let's take a break. And some of the prompts are pretty similar to what you have in yours. It's like list five
Wow.
things you're thankful for. What are you feeling? What's going well? What's not going well? What should you continue doing? What needs to change?
I just thought about something. This is crazy. Maybe we should do a collaboration.
Yeah, happy
Let's talk
to.
more about that off camera, but I think that'll be awesome because I do have a lot of dads and I could get my husband to get a copy.
Yeah, totally.
Sorry, honey, I'm just
Called them out.
I keep adding more things to the bank. No, but I think that's amazing. So you have that and then mine is a 90-day journal. So I think it's
Oh.
like it's perfect. Yeah. That's
And then,
perfect.
so I wrote mine with my dad. I did 45 entries. He did 45. And
Oh,
mine are um, more from a special ed perspective.
okay.
Some of it's stories, some of it's like some of the psychology and mindsets.
Sure.
And my dad's been a pastor for 30 plus years. So his are a little bit
Really?
more theological.
Okay.
So I
I
don't
love
know.
that though. I love that.
I
Yeah,
think
my
it's a good
mother-in-law's the same
balance.
way. She's actually a Bible Institute teacher. So
Wow.
she's huge with theology. Yeah. But I
Yeah,
love it. I find it interesting. I mean, it's a lot for me to absorb in my brain, but I like to keep
totally.
it basic. But yeah, when you go deeper, it's good. It's
Yeah.
it's important.
Well, that's amazing. We'll close it out.
Sure.
Thank you so much for being on. But if you could tell parents one thing about their journey, just starting out on the journey, farther in the journey, what advice would you give to families?
I think for the parents that are just starting this journey, I will tell you it's not your fault.
Hmm.
It's not your fault. You couldn't have done anything better or worse um for this to happen. Um I know it's hard to hear that you were called for this journey, especially if you're not seeing it from the Christian faith-based perspective. Um, but I will dare to say that you were. God saw something in you, and that is your ability to be able to care for your child. And so it won't be easy.
Right.
I will say that it won't be easy, but it won't be impossible. You are doing more than enough. If you have been in this journey like me, I like to say I'm midway through the journey. Um, I know it's been hard. I know it's hard. I know that every day you wake up, it's difficult and you may not want to do this, but again, you're still getting up, and
Right.
that's more than enough. Whether you look messy, whether you did your hair, whether you ended up brushing your teeth, because let me tell you, there are days that you might forget to do that. You know, you
Hmm.
might be up so early that you're like, did I do this? And that's okay. That's okay. You're not perfect. Your child is not perfect, but you're doing life. And there is a perfect God that's going to continue to guide you. Um, so I would say, lean on to your faith, whatever you believe in. Um, lean on to community. Community is huge. I would say that has kept me sane. I would say,
Yeah.
aside from God and the word and prayer and, just being devoted as I am, I think having people that just get me in this journey makes a huge difference. So I love meeting families that are much ahead in this journey than I am, because one, it gives me hope that my kids are going to be okay. And two, I know I don't have to explain myself.
Right.
So yeah, out of everything, just know that you're not alone. There is a village out there. There are people out there that see you and are with you and for you. So keep pushing forward and don't give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's some powerful advice. And there we
Yeah, I
have
mean, I
it.
feel like there's not like the perfect advice, because I know it's so hard sometimes to hear that
Oh
you're not
yeah.
alone. Believe it or not, it's hard for some people because
Uh-huh.
they do feel alone.
Yeah.
And the story that comes to mind is in the Bible when Jesus was with what was it, two of his disciples on the boat.
Hmm.
And he was chilling, okay? He was like, no care for nothing. I am good. And they were stressing.
Yeah.
Okay, like, teacher, do you see what's going on? The storm is raging.
Oh,
It's
he's
crazy out
sleeping.
there. And he's sleeping.
Right.
And so it makes me think, like, man, if we just rest on the Lord, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
One thing my pastor always say, Zach, and I'll close with this, is he always says, a lot of the times we're here thinking, God, do you have a solution? Do you know the end? He already does. He's not in heaven trying to figure out what to do for you. He knows the solution. He is the solution.
Right.
He is the end of the tunnel. So I'm just reminded of that all the time, man. If Jesus could be so chill, I need to chill out. Like,
Yeah.
God, please just give me that superpower to just like
Just
sleep in the middle of the storm.
sleep in a storm.
And I promise you, I mean, just it's all in the perspective, it's all in the mindset. So I would say definitely shift your mindset. Surround yourself with people that are going to speak life, life,
Yeah.
not just into you, but into your children's life.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Nani, thank you so much for being on Special Podcast. And you can find Nani everywhere. Instagram, Mom of Awesome Siblings, Uniquely Wired Podcast, Apple, Spotify, YouTube.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Apple, Spotify.
She's Crown
Um,
Ministry,
mhm.
Instagram. And you really just need to go to your Instagram handle and all the links are there.
Yeah, I can actually provide you with that, and it'll be down in the description below for the
Perfect.
listeners. I'll provide you with all the links. and all the things.
All the things. Sweet. Well, everyone have a special day, and thank you again for being on.
Thank you.